It was one of those nights when the world felt heavier than ever. The rain poured down on the cracked sidewalks, and the flickering streetlights barely lit the path. James, a single father in his mid-30s, pulled his thin jacket tighter around his shivering body. Beside him, his 6-year-old daughter, Lily, clutched his hand. Her shoes were worn out, and her little face looked pale from the cold. James had been struggling ever since Lily's mother walked out on them. He worked odd jobs, anything he could find, but it was never enough. That evening, his wallet carried only a single crumpled $10 bill. $10. It was supposed to be their dinner, maybe even breakfast the next day. But James had already skipped meals too many times, letting Lily eat while he told her he wasn't hungry. The truth was, he was starving. As they walked, James whispered softly to his daughter, "Don't worry, sweetheart. Daddy will make things better, I promise." At that moment, they stopped outside a small convenience store. The neon light buzzed above, inviting them in from the rain. James thought of buying a loaf of bread, maybe some milk, something to keep Lily's belly full for at least one night. But just as he reached for the door handle, he heard a weak voice nearby. "Sir, please, can you help me?" James turned to see a frail old man sitting on the curb, drenched from the rain. His clothes were torn, and his hands trembled as he held out an empty cup. His eyes weren't just desperate, they were broken. James froze. His mind screamed, "I can't. I only have $10. But then he looked down at Lily. She was staring at the old man, her innocent eyes wide with concern. "Daddy, he's cold," she whispered. "Can't we help him?" James swallowed hard. His chest tightened. He wanted to explain to her that they didn't have enough, that sometimes life forced you to walk past others suffering just to survive. But he couldn't. How could he teach his daughter kindness if he ignored someone in need? With trembling hands, James reached into his pocket and pulled out the $10 bill, his last $10. He knelt beside the old man and pressed it into his hand. "Here," he said softly, "it's not much, but it's all I have." The old man's eyes filled with tears. He whispered a shaky thank you as James stood up, forcing a smile for Lily, even though his heart felt like it was breaking. That night, James and Lily went home with nothing. No bread, no milk. James tucked her into bed, kissed her forehead, and silently prayed. The next morning, James woke up to a knock at the door. Confused, he opened it to find the same old man standing there, but he wasn't tea and ragged clothes anymore. He was clean, well-dressed, and standing beside a black car. "James," the man said with a warm smile, "I owe you an explanation." James blinked in shock. "How do you know my name?" The man chuckled. "Because I looked you up. I wasn't truly homeless last night. I was testing something. Searching for genuine kindness. I'm Henry Parker, a retired businessman. I've seen many people walk past me without a glance. But you gave me the last of what you had." James stood frozen, unable to process the words. Henry continued, "That $10 you gave me means more than all the wealth in the world, because it came from your heart. I'd like to help you. Consider it my turn to give back." Before James could respond, Henry handed him an envelope. Inside was a check, enough money to cover rent, food, and even set aside savings. James's hand shook as he stared at it, tears blurring his vision. "But why me?" he whispered. Henry placed a hand on his shoulder. "Because kindness like yours deserves a second chance at life. You didn't just save me last night. You reminded me that goodness still exists." From that day on, everything changed. James no longer had to worry about feeding Lily or keeping a roof over their heads. He found stable work, supported by Henry's connections, and built the secure home his daughter had always dreamed of. Years later, whenever Lily talked about that rainy night, James would smile through tears. "Sweetheart," he would say, "it's never about how much you give, it's about the heart behind it. Sometimes the smallest sacrifice changes your life forever." And in the quiet warmth of their little home, James knew the truth. Kindness had saved them both.